You're not pure enough to wear cream. That's what my sister told me. In her bridal suite. While I stood there, 29 years old, a decorated staff sergeant who'd dragged soldiers through gunfire in Afghanistan. I'm Cameron Ellis, and that day I learned something brutal. It's not the war zones that break you. It's the ones dressed in lace and lipstick. But they forgot. I didn't survive combat to be erased by a dress code. What I wore to that wedding changed everything. Have you ever had to shrink yourself to keep the peace with your family? Tell me in the comments, because this time I showed up exactly as I am. And I wasn't about to apologize for it. The vineyard looked like a scene out of a bridal catalog. Fairy lights, white hydrangeas, linen tablecloths starched like altar cloths. And I stood on the edge of it all, wine glass in hand, pretending I didn't notice the bridesmaids glancing sideways. Like I was someone who had wandered in off script. Savannah moved through the party like she owned gravity, all soft silk and polished smiles. When she reached me, her voice was breezy. Can I talk to you for a sec? She led me away from the crowd to the edge of the patio. So, what are you wearing tomorrow? She asked, her gaze flicking to my drink. I smiled, hopeful. The cream dress I showed you, sleeves, subtle, elegant. Her expression didn't shift, just a pause. I thought, maybe something darker? Navy even? I blinked. But cream blends with the bridesmaid tones. It's not white. It's soft ivory. She leaned in. You can't wear that. I stared at her. Excuse me. You can't wear white, Cameron. It's not. She cut me off, her voice so quiet I almost missed it. You're not pure. The words hit like a sniper shot, silent, deadly, precise. Behind us, laughter. Champagne clinks. And at the table just 20 feet away, Mom flipped through place cards like they were antique china, pretending not to hear. Savannah adjusted her tone again, voice back to sunshine. It's just wedding etiquette. I know you understand. Then she walked away. I stood there stunned. I had survived IEDs and ambushes. But this cut deeper. Not because of what she said, but because she meant it. That night the hotel room was quiet, too quiet. I sat on the edge of the bed, scrolling through half-written messages I couldn't send. Nothing I typed could touch what I felt. You're not pure. The words echoed like distant gunfire, louder the longer the silence stretched. I looked at the second garment bag I'd packed, my army service uniform. Still zipped, still untouched. I hadn't worn it since Fort Hood, but something in me had packed it anyway. Like instinct. Like armor. I ran my fingers along the edges. The weight of it was real, solid. A reminder of everything I'd done that didn't need permission to exist. Everything no one in that vineyard would ever understand. Savannah's judgment wasn't about color. It was about erasure. Back home in Ashbury, the rules were clean and quiet. Napkin on your lap, no elbows on the table, say grace. But beneath it all was a gospel of comparison. Savannah was the sunbeam. The girl with the violin, the pink sashes, the pageant smiles. I was bark in my hair, sneakers in church, mud on the floor. Why can't you be more like Savannah? I'd heard it 1,000 times. So I stopped trying. The army made sense. Orders, purpose, brotherhood. I could bleed for people who never asked me to pretend. My first deployment was hell. Dust, diesel, days that scraped your soul raw. But I came home with medals and scars. Scars no one at home ever asked about. On leave, I sat quietly at dinner while Savannah talked about her internship, her fiancé, her candle registry. No one asked me how I slept. No one noticed when I drank water instead of bourbon. Dad just said, still on meds? I wasn't. Every scar I wore alone. Every story I brought home stayed packed. There was no room for them at the table. So when the invitation came, ivory paper, gold trim, and Savannah's handwritten note, let's start fresh. I want you beside me. I believed it. God help me, I believed her. The bridal fitting suite smelled like rosewater and expectation. The bridesmaids twirled in blush chiffon, sipping mimosas like it was air. My dress was nearly identical, off the shoulder, floor length, but when I stepped out, everything changed. Savannah's gaze locked on me. Her smile faltered. Then she crossed the room, quick and quiet. "Cam," she said, voice dipping to a whisper. "We need to cover those scars." I blinked. "What?" She motioned to my shoulder. "That one shows through. Maybe a shawl, gloves, something elegant." I looked down at the jagged line just under my collarbone, earned in Kandahar when I pulled a bleeding sergeant across sand and gunfire. "It's a scar, Savannah, not a problem." Her tone didn't change. "It's just, it'll be in the pictures." She smiled, soft, controlled. Then came the second blow. "Also, could you stand a little softer?" I froze. "Softer? Your posture is so military, it's intense." I exhaled slowly. The uniform that kept me alive was too intense. The way I stood, too much. And in that moment, I saw it clearly. This wasn't about a dress. It wasn't about color or etiquette. It was about control, image, airbrushing reality. I was the disruption. The scar. The truth no one wanted in their wedding album. Still, I swallowed it. I let the stylist adjust the neckline higher. I said I'd try to stand softer, but inside, the part of me that had memorized blood types and prayed under burning skies began to rise. I hadn't come to start a fight, but I'd brought the truth. And truth doesn't shrink to fit. That night, back in my hotel room, I looked at the 2 bags again, and I finally knew which one I'd wear. Not to make a statement, but because I had survived too much to hide. I zipped up the jacket slowly. Each button felt like a heartbeat. Bronze star, purple heart, my name, my story. The bridal suite buzzed with last-minute chaos, steamers hissing, perfume sprayed, mascara wands fluttering like wings. When I opened the door, silence fell like a dropped wine glass. 5 bridesmaids turned, froze. Savannah did too. She stared, at the brass, the stitching, the boots, at me. Her champagne flute stopped midair. "Are you serious?" she whispered. I looked her in the eye. "I'm honest." A bridesmaid whispered, "Cameron, this is her wedding." "No," I said, "this is my truth." Savannah stepped closer, eyes wide. "You said you'd wear the dress." "I said I'd show up, and I did." She opened her mouth. Then our mother walked in, bouquet in hand. She froze, took one look at me. "Cameron," she gasped, "what are you doing?" I stood tall. "I'm showing up as myself." Her face twisted, like I'd walked in covered in dirt instead of medals. She looked at Savannah, back at me, said nothing. Then the door opened again. My father stepped in. Stiff posture, distant eyes, the usual. But this time, when he saw me, he stopped. His eyes moved over the uniform. Slow, deliberate. His voice cracked. "That's for valor," he said, pointing to the medal on my chest. I nodded. Then he saluted me. For the first time in my life, my father saluted his daughter. No speech, no apology, just that. My throat tightened. Not because I needed his validation, but because it was the first time anyone in that room truly saw me. Savannah's voice trembled. "This is my day. It was supposed to be perfect." I softened. "I know, and I love you. But I won't erase myself to make it easier." She didn't answer. She just picked up her champagne and turned away. The stylist poked her head in. "Pictures?" I looked around. Let them take whatever pictures they want. Because today I wasn't invisible. I was whole. The chapel shimmered with sunlight. Stained glass spilled color like melted jewels across the floor. Savannah walked the aisle like a dream. Lace, lavender, and legacy. But as she passed me, her eyes flicked to mine. And something shifted. It wasn't apology. But it wasn't dismissal either. It was recognition. Later, in the reception tent, I sat beside Colonel Hayes. A man who knew the weight of silence, of service. "You've carried more than most," he said quietly. I nodded. He squeezed my shoulder. "No one leaves the battlefield the same, but not everyone walks into a wedding still standing tall." People came. Some asked about the medals. Some just said thank you. For once, I wasn't the outsider. I was the one they leaned toward, not away from. Then my father stood to give a toast. "Savannah," he began, "our radiant bride, you've built something beautiful." He turned to me. "But Cameron, today you reminded us that bravery wears many forms." He raised his glass. "To both my daughters, one in white, one in uniform. Both are unforgettable." Applause erupted. Not polite, real. Afterwards, Savannah found me near the terrace. "You embarrassed me," she said softly. "Good," I replied. We both laughed through wet lashes. Then she whispered, "Thank you, for not letting me shrink you." I looked at her, for finally seeing me. As I walked out under the stars, the air wrapped around me like truth. I didn't need their permission. I had earned my space, in the room, in the story, in the family. And this time I wasn't walking away smaller. If you've ever had to choose between being accepted and being true to yourself, tell your story in the comments. This space is for women who've been silenced, edited, or erased, and finally said, "Enough." Drop a gold meta medal if you've ever shown up fully, scars and all. Share this with someone who needs a reminder. You don't owe anyone a smaller version of yourself. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more stories like this, where the quiet ones get loud and the brave get seen.